Greetings, silly geese. It is I, Lily, here today to present you with a new build, or rather, a concept of a build. I have not finished fleshing this one out yet. I have planned a path of building, but my character for it is currently only on Act 3 Cruel. I have many plans, I have many ideas, and much of it has proven to work throughout the campaign, but I'll have to see how it scales into the late game. I'm presenting this to you early because I would like to see if other people have any other contributions they can make, because I think there are many ways I can optimize this build that I have not yet seen. So if you can think of anything, please let me know. To get into it, what this build is a Doryani's prototype, Thorns Ritualist. The gist of those words is Doryani's prototype is a unique armor that makes it so that enemies in your presence have lightning resistance equal to yours, and that your lightning resistance does not affect your lightning damage taken, but rather your armor does. That means that if we are doing lightning damage, we can be doing a lot of damage to enemies because they will have very little resistances. We can get as low as negative 200% lightning resistance. That is the minimum. But you heard the word Thorns, and Thorns is typically physical damage. Well, may I introduce you to the Greater Rune of Tithing, which when socketed into any armor, gives 1 to 100 lightning Thorns damage. With ideal corruptions, we can have up to 11 of these runes, providing us with 11 to 1100 lightning thorns damage. That is a very low roll, and not the highest high roll, but this is before any increases to thorns damage from the tree, any increases to lightning damage from the tree, and before factoring in the fact that enemies will have negative 200% lightning resist. That is very little lightning resist. You may be wondering why I've only come up with this build now when I didn't even include the Greater Rune of Tithing in my previous Thorns build guide. That is because the same day I put out that build guide, the Greater Rune of Tithing got buffed. It was 1 to 10, now it is 1 to 100. That is 10 times the damage on the high end. Aggregating it out, not including lightning damage is lucky, that is a 500% buff. That is absolutely massive. And I believe it should be enough to be able to decimate the endgame. I do not know, this character is not in the endgame, this character is an Act 3 crew, the character has a lot of work to be done and I would love your input, but that is the gist of how it works. Now, obviously, first things first, every single piece of gear has to have the Greater Rune of Tithing. This means that you cannot have any other runes in your armor. Your weapon, the rune doesn't really matter, but in your armor, you must have a Greater Rune of Tithing in every single piece. This is essential to the build. This is your only source of damage. Nothing on your armor otherwise gives you damage. Nothing on your weapon gives you damage. Everything on your passive tree only increases the damage you already have. Your abilities do not give you damage. The Greater Rune of Tithing is your only source of damage. Now this is Thorns damage, so that obviously necessitates that we take the Crown of the Pale King. You cannot make a Thorns build work without this, because without this, Thorns only retaliate against melee attacks. With Crown of the Pale King, anything that hits you can be thorned. So if someone shoots a bow at you, if someone casts a spell as you, as long as the damage is direct, as long as it is a hit, you can retaliate with Thorns. Now, much like our previous Thorns build, we are going to be relying on the insane attack speed provided by Rapid Assault, and how that works incredibly with Barbs and Quill Burst. I did try to fuck around with other abilities. You may have heard of the support gem that lets you gain additional Thorns damage equal to some percentage of your mana while channeling an ability. There is only one channeled strike in the game, and that is Perfect Strike, and that is just too slow for our purposes. As much as we will have a decent amount of mana in the end game, it's just not worth the little amount of Thorns you get compared to getting your full attack speed for the Quill Burst and Barbs combo from Rapid Assault. You may have also heard people recommend Rake as an option for Thorns. You can use that. I don't like it. I think it's too slow in terms of attack speed, so against bosses, it does let you zoom around maps because it's a movement ability, but B, when you are hitting a clump, it uses all of your charges in one attack, which means that you only get one charge per time you are attacked, basically, instead of 4, and that slows you down your damage quite a bit. Again, yes, you are zooming around the map, Rake is a viable option. I don't like it, you may take it. We're also doing lightning damage, so I have opted for Herald of Thunder. I'm honestly not too sure how much damage this is going to do because we do not have a lot of just damage on our weapons. But the important part of Herald of Thunder is that we can stick Thornskin in it instead of having it in Scavenge Plating, which will mean that Thornskin has a 100% uptime. Scavenge Plating gives physical thorns as far as I can tell, which doesn't really help us at all. The only sources of physical thorns we'll have is Crown of the Pale King and Briar Patch, which don't do that much damage, so we are really not giving a shit about our physical thorns damage. Now, as I've said multiple times throughout this video, this build is not fleshed out, so most of what I have about it is not on the character you have seen. It is in this path of building right here. This path of building also includes kind of what I wish I had done while leveling. I didn't do it because I was silly, I guess. It's in the name. But yes, I will run you through now what is in this path of building, because this is actually the important part of this build. So in this path of building, I have got 3 steps. I've got the pre-energy shield swap, the energy shield swap, and the plan, because we will be being an energy shield build in the late game. Pre-energy shield swap in the campaign, it is just much easier for us to have armor, because getting enough energy shield to not die when you have negative 80% lightning resistance and your lightning damage scales off of armor, it's a bit rough. So early on, we are going for an armor approach. We are using a shield, we are getting block chance, we are keeping our armor high, we are using iron reflexes to keep our armor high, to keep the lightning damage that we take low. I leveled with more or less this tree, however I did not use Briar Patch, and I did therefore not use Cooked or any other critical scaling options. I am basically currently, my character is at this exact state minus Cooked, and minus this little tendril over here, which is just what I'm going to do when I get to level 64. This pre-armor build I have decided to do until level 64, because that is when we can equip our Venter's Gambles, which will allow us to get all the resistances that we do need off of our rings, which we have 3 slots of because we're Ritualist, and not need any resistances on our energy shield gear, which will allow us to get a lot more energy shield much cheaper, because we can only care about prefixes and basically completely ignore suffixes. Another reason that we are starting as armor and only switching to energy shield later is because the defenses of this build, specifically using Doryani's prototype, are very crap without either armor or mind over matter. Now, simulating things in PoB, our max hit is much higher while energy shield, and also we can get a lot more damage scaling from crit nodes and lightning damage nodes by pathing up towards the top side of the tree. There is very little in the way of lightning damage and crit chance towards the bottom of the tree. We did get a lot of that stuff in our previous build, but because it was all adjacent to physical damage nodes, which helped us deal physical damage. Now, this is the gist of what the endgame tree is going to look like. It's going to be a lot of energy shield stacking, it's going to be a lot of crit damage stacking, and the one weird thing about this build is that we will have evasion rating. I'm not sure how that's going to play out. I'm worried that if our evasion rating gets too high, we won't get hit enough to do damage, but if our evasion rating gets too low, Ghost Dance won't be able to give us energy shield. So I need to balance that carefully or find another way to gain energy shield when hits get through our Mind over Matter. So if you have any ideas, please let me know. I don't think I've shown you the item section, but it's pretty much just the usual Thorn Spear. We don't really care about its actual damage, we just care about attack speed and accuracy rating. We are also adding elemental damage to attacks because that's nice. We are actually dealing elemental damage with our attacks, and that will scale our barbs and our core burst. In terms of our focus, it's just pure energy shield. Increased lightning damage is nice, but all we care about is maxing out our energy shield. Same goes for our gloves. We just care about maxing out our energy shield. Critical bonus is nice, but energy shield is what we really care about. Lunar Amulet, again, maxing out our energy shield. Getting attributes is nice, but energy shield is what we care about. We will be anointing Thornhide the entire time because plus 6% to Thorns critical damage chance is huge and allows us to take advantage of our huge crit scaling multipliers much earlier. For rings, we will be going for a triple Venter's Gamble setup. This will give us a crazy amount of rarity, enough spirit to reserve everything we want to, crazy amount of resistances, and more importantly, negative lightning resistance. I have calculated that you only need negative 32% lightning resistance on all of your rings to get to negative 200. You can get to negative 150 with less than that, but having 3 Venter's Gambles or with a negative lightning roll will give you a lot of increased damage. For our belt, we can't get energy shield from that, and I couldn't find a unique belt that seemed useful. Please let me know if there is a unique belt that you know of that could be good. I have just gone for as much armor and mana as possible from the belt because this will allow us to have a lot more survive. In the endgame, it will also be nice to have an Adorned because we will be using Sapphires, but there's only 2 roles that we really super care about from them, and that is increased maximum energy shield and increased critical damage bonus. This will give us huge damage. Adorns are very expensive though, so I do have a midpoint setup, which will just be these basic Sapphires that are just a little bit of increased energy shield, a little bit of critical damage bonus, some mana regenerate, and some increased elemental damage. I don't think the extra 2 perks will do much for us, but they will help us get to the point where we can afford an Adorned. In terms of our abilities, we basically are just using Rapid Assault. We will have Thunderous Leap to jump from enemy to enemy just to speed us up a little bit, but that's really not important. What does matter is our Spirit. The most important Spirit gem we have here is Herald of Thunder with Thornskin. You want to get this up ASAP, because Herald of Thunder not that important, but Thornskin is a 40% increase to our Thorns damage that does apply to our Lightning Thorns. It will give us a lot of Thorns. We also have Ghost Dance. This is the route that I have chosen to go to get some energy shield back. I think there are other options. I haven't really played with energy shield much in Path of Exile 2, so if you know much about energy shield, please let me know about other options that we have to recover energy shield, because I would love to not have evasion rating, because I don't like that we're going to have a chance to dodge attacks. I think we will get attacked enough to keep our core burst up, but I think if we evade a boss attack on a slow boss, that's just going to be really frustrating. So if you have a better idea for how to regen energy shield, please let me know. Again, I have tried the armor setup. It is just way too difficult to fit enough damage on a tree that paths near armor nodes. And separately to that, armor kind of sucks. I couldn't get above 5k Fizz max hit and Lightning max hit with a absolutely perfect simulated armor setup, yet with a close to perfect energy shield setup, I was able to get 7,300. That is a lot more max hit. So I think energy shield is the only real way of handling our defenses. I would like to not have evasion rating though. If I could take Iron Reflexes to turn all of our evasion rating, because we can't avoid having some, but into armor to reduce our damage taken from armor, that would be really nice. But unfortunately, Ghost Dance is the only way I know of to reliably regen enough energy shield quickly enough in like a really shitty situation. Our last spirit gem will then be Blink. I don't know why I haven't put in the gem that makes the cooldown faster. That should be here, but it's just movement ability. We shouldn't need to roll too much, but having the blink movement ability to allow us to blast around maps should make us a lot faster and should make us miss Rake a lot less while we're using Rapid Assault, because of course I prefer that. Ritual Sacrifice we can use. It's quite a nice little thing, but in terms of our Ascendancy, I do realize I've forgotten to speak about this until now. There are probably a lot of Ascendancies that can actually do a Doryani's prototype Thorns build. I like Ritualist for 2 reasons. First off, negative 20% to all elemental resistances allows us to hit negative 200% lightning resistance much easier without hamstringing our other resistances too much, considering that we're using Ventus Gambles, which can give a lot of resistance, and also the +1 ring slot to allow us to have a 3rd Ventus Gamble, again just to solve our resistances only on our rings. Easy peasy, allowing us to get energy shield and attributes from everywhere else. I have also grabbed Mystic Attunement because, again, we have 3 ring slots. We're relying very, very heavily on Ventus Gamble. This will give us a lot of defenses and reduce our lightning resistance even more. Again, that's why we've gone for Ritualist. The whole point of Ritualist is just to reduce our lightning resistance as much as possible, and no other Ascendancy seems to be able to reduce resistances nearly as much. I took Intricate Sigils just because +1 charm slot and more charm charges gained. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing bad about that. And I also took As the Whispers Ask because Ritual Sacrifice seems quite interesting. I like the idea of getting rare monster modifiers. Maybe we get a monster with extra movement speed with a haste aura. We now have the haste aura. You know, there's things that we can do there to just make ourselves stronger, to get through maps faster. But that's really not important. Our 3rd and 4th Ascendancies super don't matter. You can even just skip doing them entirely. Considered Wildwood Persistence while I was still going for an armor build, but of course now that we are CI, we don't have any life, so this doesn't help us at all. I considered As the Whispers Demand, but again with CI, we can't really remove 20% of our maximum life without dying. In terms of Mind Phylacteries, we could take that, but I still don't think that charms are going to be super important to this build. If we get frozen, oh well, things are still attacking us. If we get stunned, oh well, things are still attacking us. If we're ignited, don't worry, we don't take that much damage and we have a decent amount of mana regen. Like, I don't see anything that's going to be so disastrous that I'm like, oh no, we need Mind Phylacteries to survive. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe I will switch As the Whispers Ask to Mind Phylacteries and be like, yeah, you should ascend because this is really useful. But for right now, I don't really see a point in it. And then in terms of Corrupted Life Force, Blood Boil is, I mean, it's increased physical damage on the way they were not doing physical damage. And yes, Blood Boil, you can explode corpses to detonate enemies faster, but that's just adding another button to your bar for what I don't think will equate to that much extra damage. So at the end of the day, all we really care about is the extra ring slot and the extra bonuses gained from rings and amulets. Another tip for getting your lightning resistances as low as possible is in the Spies of the Shard, do not interact with the Shrine of the Sisters of Garokan. Those will give you plus 10% to lightning resistance. I was an idiot and I did it in a normal difficulty. I remembered to not do it in cruel. Honestly, this might even be worth me re-leveling my character. I probably won't because I'm lazy, but negative 10% lightning resistance is pretty huge for our build, so do not do those two things on your character and you will have an easy negative 20 extra lightning resistance that will make your Ventus Gambles a lot easier and cheaper to obtain. And with that, I think I've pretty much gone through absolutely everything that this build has to offer. If you think I've missed anything or if you have any questions, ask in the comments down below. I kind of just made this video a little bit half-assed because I want people's opinions on what I could do better, what mistakes I could have made, especially how to handle Energy Shield much better, maybe giving us a way to get rid of the evasion rating. That would be really nice. So if you have any ideas, please comment down below. If you're going to try this build, let me know. Share your POB with me. I would love to collaborate with you on making this build much better because as far as I know, no one other than me has even thought of trying this build. I haven't seen any discussion about it anywhere. Subscribe to my channel to see the update video because once I'm in endgame, once I have the ES stuff going, I will make another video more as a proper build guide than this please help me that I've basically done today. And like the video because I'm a cool person. And you like me, so you like the video. That's it for today. I will see you in the update video. I think this will probably be the last thing I do in PoE 2 for this league, but I'm very excited to see how this character goes, and I would really like to see how it's going for other people, so stick around for next time. For now, have a great day, and goodbye.